What up, friends? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. It is flanker time once again. Today, the newest from Montblanc Explorer Infinite. So this one they popped up at Macy's for 138 bucks, and then they took it off again. This seems to happen like with half the new releases that come out, where it pops up for sale. If you buy it within the first day or two, they'll ship it to you. But then somebody realizes somewhere, oh, no, I wasn't supposed to launch yet. And then they take it off again. So just be aware that as of the second I'm filming this video, if you go to Macy's and look, it'll pull up a page. It'll be like Explorer Infinite, but it will say not available. It's possible though, by the time this goes live, that it is available again. You can also buy it from Europe if you're so inclined. But in terms of like shipping and price difference and stuff, it'd be better just to buy it from Macy's. So yeah, this is the newest in the Explorer lineup, which of course has a bit of a reputation for making fragrances that smell kind of similar to other fragrances, right? So the original Explorer smells a bit similar to Aventus. Explorer Extreme smells a bit similar to Sauvage Elixir. This one also reminds me of another big fragrance, which I'll let you guys know in just a second. But first off, let's check out the box and the bottle. Le Box. You have on the front the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration, 100 ml eau de parfum. Nothing up top, nothing on the sides. On the back, just a little bit of info. On the bottom, it's where you're gonna find all your info. Ingredients, badge code, barcode, etc. Full badge code is CBS21S090. And here's the bottle. I actually really like the look of it. So the glass is actually very dark blue. I don't know if it comes across on camera, it might look black, but it's actually dark blue. Then you have this pleather wraparound with the Montblanc logo on the front. On top of the collar, it says Montblanc Explorer. You also have the logo on top of the cap, which does click into place. And then on the bottom of the bottle, you have more information, including your badge code, which is etched into the glass. You're also gonna find the logo on top of the atomizer as well. All right, let's go ahead and blast out a couple sprays. Here we go, nice. It's got a lot of distance, a lot of reach there. Now, before we dive into the fragrance itself, I want to update you guys. I have a second channel called Gents Sets, S-E-T-S. Remove the C, remove the N, essentially. And on that channel, which is also linked in the description, I'm gonna be going over my other hobby, which is cards. So we're talking sports cards, especially hockey, but also baseball, football, basketball as time goes on, and trading card games potentially on there as well. So if that's interesting to you at all, check that out again in the description. And also in the description, a ton of coupon codes you can use to save money, which are also on your screen here. So anytime you shop at any of these discounters, which I would do over retail unless it's a brand new fragrance, use those codes to save yourself a little extra cash. All right, so Explorer Infinite. When this was first announced, I felt like this was going to be basically their blue fragrance, right? Kind of makes sense when you look at the note breakdown. It's not anything too crazy or complex. And when you look at the presentation, it's all blue. It makes sense. And that kind of is what it is, but maybe not in the way a lot of people anticipated when it was first announced. Because the initial expectation was, oh, it's gonna smell like Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel exclusive, something like that. Instead, it actually has a similarity to another fragrance, which we'll get to in just one second. It opens up with a big blast of fruit, so you've got 2 citrus notes off the top, but it doesn't smell like just citrus. It's got a nice briskness to it, a balance of sweet and tart at the same time, so it's not overloaded in either direction. You know, it's not too sour, it's not too sweet and cloying. It's nice, fresh, super versatile, and has a touch of classiness to it too. You also have like this little hint of fresh and warm spice as a combo, kind of working underneath that citrus and that fruit when you first spray it on. And it does remind me pretty much right away of Creed's Absolute Aventus. Now, when I say that, it's not the exact same as Absolute Aventus. This is gonna be more like Absolute Aventus with a twist, kind of like Explorer was Aventus with a twist. Because if you spray Explorer side by side with Aventus, there are a lot of differences, but at the same time, when you smell it, you can tell it is clearly inspired by the Creed. And they've gone back to that well. They have absolutely gone back to that well, and they've said, ha ha ha, what if we made one new Explorer that smells like the more expensive Aventus? Is that possible? And the answer, I guess, is yes, because that's what this smells inspired by, at least to me. Now, when I tell you it reminds me of Absolute Aventus, again, it's not the exact same, and some things are gonna be missing from Absolute Aventus and also actual Aventus, so you're not gonna be getting any of that really heavy woodiness here, especially off the top. So, you know, any idea that you had of birch, smokiness, anything like that, that's gone. Not that there's really any birchy smokiness in Absolute Aventus, but I wanted to put it out there anyway. What this actually smells like is taking that Absolute Aventus vibe, especially off the top, and pushing it further towards a shower gel, fresh blue fragrance kind of identity, while still being an Absolute Aventus type fragrance. And just like the original Explorer didn't have pineapple as an official note, but it maybe reminded you of pineapple a little bit, this one has that as well for me. Now, as this one moves through the mid, it stays very clean. It has a nice woodiness that comes out more and more the longer it stays on your skin, but it keeps that fresh, clean, modern, masculine, blue fragrance kind of aesthetic into the mid. So the only mid notes you're gonna get here are lavender and nutmeg. The nutmeg comes out a little bit more as it moves through the mid. It's gonna give you a little additional warmth. That touch of spice kind of comes out more as it dries. That being said, it's not a heavily spiced fragrance at all. It's more so just flavor, you know, it's a little extra nuance that comes out. So yeah, to me, in the mid, it leans a little bit more towards the blue fragrance side of things, but then as it heads into the dry down, it kind of whips back again and becomes closer to Absolute Aventus again. That's because you have cedar coming out, that woodiness becomes more prominent. You have kind of a warm amber aspect as well. You lose a lot of that sparkly, fruity, juicy combo from the opening and the mid once you do hit the dry down, but you still have remnants of it kind of hanging around. You've got little bits of sweetness that still make themselves known. So if you just really want to simplify and kind of like Cliff's Notes the whole fragrance, it starts off Absolute Aventus style with more of a blue fragrance lean. Essentially blue fragrance, aromatic, woody freshness mixed with that Absolute Aventus style, citrus, pineapple adjacent kind of open. That shifts a little bit more towards shower gel-ish territory while still being nice and classy as you head through the mid, and then shifts again back into Absolute Aventus territory once you hit that dry down, which could actually make this fragrance more wearable for somebody who really likes Absolute Aventus. Not that Absolute Aventus is hard to wear. Obviously it's not, it has Aventus in the name. And at least so far, Creed hasn't managed to put out an Aventus fragrance that comes across completely unwearable for most people. Given time, they might, but you know, so far. But essentially what Montblanc did, for better or worse, is they looked at that fragrance DNA, and they said, okay, let's make it fresher, let's make it cleaner, let's make it a little bit more casual. Let's maintain that versatility, maybe even make it more versatile, obviously make it way cheaper, and just make it less of a particular fragrance. Where Absolute Aventus is the type of thing where, you know, depending on who you are, you might look at it and go, you know, I'm not gonna waste that stuff tonight. You know, it's too pricey, it cost me this much money. I'm gonna save that, special occasions only. This kind of removes that barrier to entry that Absolute Aventus has, because Creed fragrances are friggin' expensive and continue getting more and more expensive as time goes on. So basically here, even at full retail, you know, you're just under 140 bucks, you're getting a lot of that same usability baked in, which again, beating a dead horse and bringing it back to life like a necromancer and then beating it back to death. Well, no, don't beat it back to death, but beating it to death again. Again, don't beat dead horses that are resurrected back to death. Don't do that. But just as a weird screwed up analogy there, that's what they already did with Explorer, right? So they've done it again, essentially. Maybe Explorer for a lot of people is gonna click right away a little bit closer to Aventus, but if you're very familiar with Absolute Aventus and you smell this one, you can kind of tell that that's where they started from, and then they took a little different path to get to where they were going. Let's talk performance, seasonality, and the overall verdict, the pros and the cons. First, the performance, it's actually good. This stuff sticks around a long time. Like the longevity is solid. I've got no complaints whatsoever. I know sometimes when something is blue fragrancefied, you might worry that the performance is gonna suffer because, you know, you're trying to make it smoothed off as far as the edges go, just as versatile as possible, all that stuff. But this stuff actually lasts a long time. I sprayed this one on today about 7 hours ago. I can still pick it up. Projection-wise, I'd say good, but not great. You know, it's not something that's gonna fill up the entire room for 5 hours plus, but it does project really hard initially. And even now, I can actually pick it up pretty easily. So it's one of those ones that lingers, it projects well, you're gonna pick it up through the day. Other people are gonna pick it up as you move by them or they move by you. So I have absolutely no problems whatsoever with the performance here. And I would say it's definitely stronger than the original Explorer as well, and most everything else that came after it. Maybe Extreme I'd have to side by side and everything, which I haven't done. But like I said, no complaints from me. Seasonality wise, kind of what you would expect, right? So this is gonna be spring, summer, fall, winter, day, night, it doesn't really matter. This is truly one of those fragrances like Polo 67 Extreme or White Eau de Parfum for some people, Sauvage Eau de Parfum or Eau de Toilette for some people. You know, depending on summertime, it could be a little iffy. But for a lot of people, this is gonna be one of those ones that they just buy, they sit it on their desk, their dresser, their, you know, fragrance storage device of choice, and they just leave it, grab, spray, and go whenever they want. You don't really have to think about it. You know, this is not one of those ones where it's like, okay, this one I can wear during the fall, kind of dusk. Can't wear it during the day, a little too hot. Winter, not quite strong enough. It's not like that at all. This is one of those ones where it doesn't matter. Wear it. You like it, wear it. Now, as I said before, price from Macy's, $138. That's not a bad price, but this is an Explorer. So I would personally say you're better off to wait, unless you just absolutely love Montblanc Explorer or love the idea of this fragrance. And then at that point, you know, knock yourself out. It smells great, it lasts, it does all the things. So it's not like you're gonna buy it and go, oh, terrible. But it is one of those deals where, you know, before too long, it's gonna pop up at discounters. It's gonna pop up at JOMASHOP, Frag Flex, somewhere like that, and it's gonna be cheaper. Initially, it's not gonna be a massive amount cheaper probably. I'd guess, I don't know, $80 to $100 probably, something like that. But as time goes on, it's gonna drop, right? And you're gonna be able to pick it up probably 60 bucks. At that point, it's an awesome buy. Like at that point, you're getting something you can wear year round, pull attention, pull compliments. It's gonna give you that absolute Aventus-ish kind of feel for a low price. For me, it would probably become one of the better inexpensive buys that you can make in the designer realm if you're looking for a hyper versatile fragrance, period. But it's not there yet. So again, if you want the absolute best bang for your buck, that's what you wanna do. If you don't care about that, then of course, go ahead and pick it up as soon as it pops back up on Macy's before they remove it again 2 days later. So yeah, as I said, this is Montblanc doing what Montblanc tends to do. And the idea behind it is it's not crazy dissimilar from what YSL did with La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. Now, of course, it is a bit different because they were taking their own fragrance in La Nuit de l'Homme and blue fragrancifying that one. But the idea here is pretty much the same thing that YSL did with that. They're taking Absolute Aventus, or that type of fragrance, if you want to call it that, and blue fragrancifying that. Are they reinventing men's perfumery? No. Unless every single brand out there starts blue fragrancifying their stuff, and then at that point, I guess yes. But assuming that doesn't happen, no. Is this anything unique? Not really. Is this anything artistic? Absolutely not. They obviously did not sit down and think to themselves, how can we push men's perfumery forward? What completely original DNA can we come up with that no one has ever smelled before? Those thoughts did not enter anybody's mind. It's not groundbreaking, it is completely derivative. Does it smell good though? It smells freaking great. If you like Absolute Aventus, which I do, you'll probably love this one, especially if the idea of just an easier reach version of that is appealing to you. I've worn this the last 4 days in a row, and compared to every other Explorer out there, I would rather own this one, which is maybe not the highest bar in the universe to clear, but still, if you line them all up and you said, pick one, it would be this one. Pros and cons. First, the pros. The opening smells great to me. It's got a nice tang to it, which I really enjoy. It's also giving us that Absolute Aventus style DNA with a twist, and as time goes on, it should get much cheaper. Performance is solid all the way around. Versatility is great. It has massive compliment potential, and it's truly usable year-round, day or night. Now, the cons. It is completely derivative. Anybody that's sick of Aventus style fragrances, Aventus adjacent fragrances, Aventus fragrances with a twist, any of that, this is not for you because it is firmly in that camp once again. And something that's a pro and a con, the blue fragrance characteristics that are kind of injected in there make it much safer, easier to wear, so that's potentially a positive, but then some people could find that to be a little boring, which would be a con. And finally, full retail price is gonna be a little bit hard to justify considering it is a Montblanc Explorer, which means as time goes on, that is going to dip down in price. So while I do think it's really nice, I've enjoyed wearing it, it's one of those deals where maybe you go, just wait a couple months. All right, guys, there we go. That is the new Montblanc Explorer Infinite. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.